You know the drill. You're scrolling through your feed and you see it everywhere, right? Glamorous parties, fun nights out, endless toasts with friends. It always looks like alcohol is the secret ingredient for a great time. But there's this huge gap between that picture-perfect online world and the scientific reality of what's actually happening to our minds and bodies. So let's pull back that filter and see what the science really has to say.
All right, first up, let's dissect this social media filter. What's the story our digital world is really telling us about drinking? So check this out. A 2022 study dug into thousands of social media posts from college students, and they found a super clear, consistent pattern. As this quote says, it's not just that posts show drinking, they make heavy drinking seem completely normal, like it's just a standard part of the whole student experience. And all those likes and positive comments, they just double down on that message.
And this chart just illustrates that perfectly. The platforms are always changing, right? Facebook might be less popular with young adults now, while TikTok and Snapchat are on the rise. But the underlying power of social media to shape what we think is normal, that stays incredibly strong, no matter which app is king.
So what exactly is the story being told online? Well, the numbers are pretty stark. Positive attitudes about drinking are overwhelmingly the most common thing you'll see. A massive 88% of posts on Insta and Facebook show alcohol in this really positive social way. But here's the real kicker. When you look at posts that explicitly show people drinking, that number jumps to 97%. The message is loud and clear. Online, alcohol is almost always glamorized. And this whole positive spin gets rewarded. That same study found that the average alcohol-related Instagram post got around 350 likes. Think about that. That's a really powerful feedback loop. Every single like is like a little digital pat on the back, telling the poster and everyone else watching that this behavior isn't just okay, it's something to aspire to. Okay, so we've seen that term heavy drinking pop up a few times, but what does it actually mean? You know, when we step away from the social media hype and look at the official health definitions, let's see what the experts have to say. You know, when organizations like the CDC talk about binge drinking, they aren't talking about how a person feels or acts. Nope, it's a very specific, measurable thing based on how much alcohol gets into your bloodstream in a short period. It's all about quantity and speed.
And here's where it gets real. For women, binge drinking is defined as 4 or more standard drinks on a single occasion, like a night out or at a party. For men, that number is 5 or more. Now, that is probably a much lower number than a lot of people might guess.
And then we have heavy drinking, which is measured over a full week. For women, we're talking 8 or more drinks per week. For men, it's 15 or more. These numbers give us a clear scientific baseline that really stands out against the sort of unlimited, more is more picture we often see online. Okay, so with those definitions locked in, let's get into the science. What does this kind of drinking actually do to our physical health over the long run? And this is not a small issue. According to the CDC, excessive alcohol use is responsible for about 178,000 deaths every single year, just in the United States. I mean, that is just a staggering number that really puts the real-world consequences into perspective. Over time, the cumulative effect of drinking too much can be, well, devastating. It's linked to this whole laundry list of serious chronic diseases that affect pretty much every major system in the body, from your heart with high blood pressure and disease, to your liver, your digestive system. It even weakens your immune system's ability to fight off sickness. But here is a really crucial point from the latest cancer research. For a lot of health risks, it's dose-dependent. The more you drink, the higher the risk. But for certain types of cancer, like breast cancer, scientists have found there is no safe level. Any amount of alcohol consumption increases that risk. And the impact isn't just physical. Not at all. There's a really powerful, well-documented connection between excessive alcohol use and our mental health. A major analysis that pulled together data from tons of studies came to a really striking conclusion. People who have common mental disorders, like depression or anxiety, are twice as likely to also have an alcohol use disorder. It's a strong connection, and it often works as a two-way street. And even beyond a clinical diagnosis, drinking too much can just chip away at our day-to-day well-being. It's been shown to make existing symptoms of depression and anxiety worse. It can directly cause problems with learning and memory, and over time, it's even a risk factor for dementia. And of course, it could put a huge strain on our most important relationships with family and friends. So, we've seen the filtered story online, and we've seen the unfiltered scientific reality. The big question is, what's the takeaway? How do we actually apply all this knowledge?
When you cut through all the noise, the complicated studies, and all the social pressure, the core advice from public health experts like the CDC is actually incredibly simple and direct. It's not about being perfect, it's all about the direction you're heading.
And the key takeaway right here is that this isn't an all or nothing game. Any step you take to reduce how much you drink, whether that means drinking a little less tonight or just having more alcohol-free days, is a step that lowers your health risks and can boost your overall well-being. And this brings us right back to where we started, our social media feeds. Look, the content isn't going to change. Those glamorous posts are still going to be there. But now, you're different. You have the context. You've got the full story behind the filter. So the real question is, how will that change what you see?